This is chapter 18 of The Guardian of Ailos. A long silver beam of moonlight pierced through the darkness of the decrepit throne room. It provided just enough light for Rose to navigate her surroundings. 6 giant pillars covered in beautifully crafted gold images lined the sides of the massive dwelling. She cringed at the sight. How could something so beautiful exist in the midst of such evil? The floor she stepped out onto had the appearance of polished onyx, with a single stripe of red granite stretching towards the back of the room. Black stairs led up to a black platform where the single beam of light highlighted a golden throne. Piles of silver armor surrounded the throne like trophies. For Rose, it was a memorial to the king's men. "Welcome, Mina," a low, booming voice rose up out of the darkness. The sound of scales sliding on stone slithered behind her. Shivers rolled down her spine. "That's not my name," Rose said, drawing her sword and pivoting ever so slightly as she walked. Her eyes strained, searching for movement among the shadows. "Do you like what you see?" The voice rumbled, seemingly mocking her previous thoughts. Something slipped behind a pillar to her right, vanishing before she could turn. Rose felt her heart beating faster. The hair on her arms and legs stiffened. Her nose became suddenly aware of the smell of death and decay. "I know why you're here," the voice continued. "Unfortunately," a sinister laugh rolled through the throne room, and then, as if someone whispered right behind her ear, "You're too late." Rose swung around just in time to see the end of a tail whip behind the throne. "Too late, huh?" she scoffed. "Then why waste all this time hiding?" Her eyes followed the tail into the shadows. "Hiding," the voice echoed around her. She still couldn't pinpoint its origin. How was he able to throw his voice like that? "Come on, Rose, listen." "Is that what you think I'm doing?" the dragon asked. Rose's eyes darted back and forth, searching for movement. "Well, if you're not trying to hide, then why don't you come out and face me?" A flash of light filled her peripheral. Rose pivoted, sword outstretched, perfectly anticipating the location of the beast. She stopped short. A man stood in front of her, the tip of her sword inches away from his throat. Dressed in immaculate apparel, he resembled a soldier in uniform, her husband. He wore a black buttoned-up coat with gold buttons. His slacks were a pristine white, a perfect contrast to his tightly curled black hair, his face not a day older than when they first met. "What is this?" Rose stepped back in shock, but kept her sword ready. "Whatever do you mean?" the man questioned, his voice a perfect copy of her husband's. "It's not him, Rose. You're not here for him." Rose closed her eyes and shook off the confusion. "You think this will stop me from running my sword through your throat?" She stepped forward, pressing the point of her blade into his chest. The metal clinked against something hard. "I just thought you might want to see him one last time," the imposter snarled, then smiled a crooked smile, nothing at all like her real husband's. Heat rose up inside of her chest. Whatever the dragon's plan was, it wasn't working. It only made her angry. Rose pressed in once more. "Fine," he said, raising his hands. Then, with a flash of light, he shifted again. A little girl stood before her. Sid. But not the Sid waiting outside. No. The Sid Rose left 6 years earlier. "Mommy, please, don't hurt me." Sid? But Rose spotted a small light glowing around her daughter's neck. She flinched at the uncanny appearance and dropped the sword. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. Mommy would never hurt you. Never. The little girl wiped away a tear. That's okay. I know you didn't mean it. Rose dropped to her knees, pushing the sword aside and stretching out her hands. I've missed you so much. It's been so long. Rose scooted closer as the little girl stepped in for a hug. In a flash, a massive hand took hold of Rose's throat. Bones crunched as it gripped tighter, growing bigger until at last a giant claw consumed her entire body. Nothing but her head remained in the open. The dragon laughed with Rose trapped snug within his grasp. Did you really think you could trick me? You insolent woman! No one outsmarts me! Rose just smiled. She had him right where he wanted him, in her embrace. You see, the image of her husband may have caused her to pause, but the seemingly perfect replica of her daughter was a big mistake. The dragon's knowledge, although precise, would be his downfall. The outfit Sid wore the day she left was her school uniform, the same outfit Ailos was wearing. Rose saw the small, glowing light peeking through the little girl's white Peter Pan collared shirt. This was her chance. She couldn't believe it. He was actually wearing it around his neck. The locket would soon be. With ease, the dragon flung Rose across the room. Her body slammed into the marble doors, making a horrible smacking sound, then slid slowly onto the cold stone floor. I am Ailos the Mighty, he growled. Who are you to defy me? Rose shuddered as she watched the beast approach her. A lack of courage had nothing to do with it. She had never seen him before. Not this close, at least. Anyone would tremble with a monster this size in front of them. His scales were like armor, and his tail like a mighty whip. Nothing could match his size and strength, with legs as tall as cedars, and his frame as thick as a house. Even his throne room could barely hold him as he stretched out his neck. The colossal creature reared its ugly head and roared. Rose writhed under the force of his voice. As the dragon condescended to look her in the eye, she felt the hot breath of his nostrils on her face. In it was the stench of death. Now tell me, Mina, where are the other gems? With eloquent precision, he pressed a single claw into her chest. She coughed as she felt her rib cage compress into her lungs. An inaudible word slipped through Rose's gritted teeth. I'm sorry, Ailos hissed. I couldn't hear you. He lifted his claw in jest and leaned closer, spit dripping onto her face. Now, where are the other gems? I said, Rose gasped, my name isn't Mina. My name is Rosemary Devara Ilethia, guardian of Ailos. Blood spurted out from her mouth as she coughed. Then she smiled her own menacing smile. You will never make it out of this prison. Ailos bowed his head. Oh, well. I wasn't aware I was standing in the presence of royalty. Forgive me, Lady Guardian. Rose pushed herself up against the wall and onto her feet. It seems like you've underestimated me, Almighty Ailos. Is that right? Ailos puffed out a tuft of hot air through his nostrils. You know you aren't the first guardian I've killed. But you sure will be the... Rose lifted a hand. A small gold chain hung from her fingers. No, Ailos growled. He stood up on his hind legs and grasped at his neck. Enraged, the dragon coiled his neck, and a horrible orange glow filled his throat. Rose braced, lifting the stolen locket and whispering a prayer. Maker, give me strength. A blast of hot liquid fire slammed into her just as the power of the locket exploded in tandem, creating an impenetrable force field around her. Her plan worked. The force of the explosion shoved her back to the throne room doors, freeing her of the beast for now. Thanks for listening to Chapter 18 of The Guardian of Ailos. As a reminder, we'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment or head over to our Substack and follow us there. And we'll be right back next week with Chapter 19.